All right, let's talk about something that's been bugging business leaders and academics for, well, decades. We're diving into a great essay by Gary Latham that tackles this puzzle head-on. We have all this incredible, game-changing research on how to make our work lives better, more productive, you name it. So why does so much of it just sit there, gathering dust in some scientific journal?
Right. This is the core of it. Seriously, think about it. All this knowledge exists to improve everything from how we get feedback to how we stay motivated. And yet, so many workplaces seem stuck in the past. Or maybe even worse, they're just chasing the latest, trendiest idea without any real evidence behind it. What is going on?
To really get to the bottom of this, you have to understand that we're dealing with two totally separate worlds. It's like they're on different planets. They have different goals, they speak different languages, and they have completely different ways of keeping score. Latham calls this the two worlds problem. And this, right here, just lays out the conflict so perfectly. You got the scientist on one side, who's motivated by getting published and earning the respect of their peers. Then on the other side, you've got the practitioner, who's driven by one thing, getting results that help the business. Their goals, their audiences, even what they consider a win, it's all completely different. They're not just in different worlds. They are playing entirely different games.
So, what's the real root cause of this massive divide? Well, according to Latham, it's a culture that's just deeply, deeply embedded in academia. This idea of doing research for research's sake, with almost zero thought given to whether it can actually be used in the real world. This quote from Charles Hulan, wow, it's absolutely stunning because it just captures that traditional mindset perfectly. He's basically saying that a researcher's job is to do the research, and that's it. Whether anyone uses it, not their problem. If it takes 100 years for someone to figure out an application, hey, so be it. This thinking basically gives academics a free pass to completely ignore what's happening outside the ivory tower.
But you know, that hands-off attitude started to really rub people the wrong way. A growing number of really influential thinkers started to stand up and say, hold on, this is a massive waste of brainpower. It's time for a fundamental change in how we think about the entire purpose of doing research. The shift really started with pioneers like the social psychologist Kurt Lewin. He looked at this division between the lab and the workplace and thought it was completely artificial. His famous line, "No action without research, no research without action," was a call to arms. He argued these two things should be in a constant dance together, each one making the other better.
And then this new philosophy was picked up by giants like Albert Bandura. He argued that the ultimate test of a theory isn't just how elegant it is or how many times it gets cited. The real test is its social utility. Does it actually help society? Does it make things tangibly better for people? That's the real bottom line.
And this wasn't just a few people whispering in the corner. It became a whole chorus demanding change. You had Chris Argyres saying, hey, you have to design research to be usable from day one. Michael Beer was warning researchers, if you don't tell managers how to actually use your findings, they're just going to ignore you. And of course, Denise Rousseau championed the whole movement of evidence-based practice, pushing managers to act more like doctors, relying on the best evidence we have.
Okay, so if that's the problem and the tide is starting to turn, what's the actual solution? This is where Latham's work is just so incredibly helpful. He gives us a super clear 10-point plan for how to fix this, and we can group it into 3 main areas of action. Latham's first set of ideas are aimed right at the heart of academia. The thinking is, let's fix this problem at the source, in the way research actually gets done in the first place.
It's kind of brilliant, really. He's saying we should use the tools of science to solve science's own communication problem. First, he says you have to actually research the gap, figure out why this knowledge isn't getting transferred. Then you use that data to build a theory about how to do it better. And here's the real kicker. You have to start valuing theories based on whether they actually work in the real world, what he calls operational validity.
But of course, creating more useful research is only half the battle. The next big step is a total, radical shift in how scientists actually talk to the people who desperately need their findings. This is all about breaking out of that academic echo chamber. Don't just talk at managers, get them involved. Turn them into partners in the research. And so the love of all that is holy, learn to speak their language. A manager cares about a project with a clear framework, not a study with a hypothesis and a bunch of stats.
Latham shares this perfect little story. He'd bring up goal setting in his MBA classes, a topic with decades of amazing research, and his students would just kind of glaze over. Oh, goal setting, yeah, we do that, everyone does that. They were totally unimpressed. But then, he'd have them do a quick, simple experiment right there in the classroom.
And suddenly, they could see with their own eyes the incredible, immediate power of applying these scientific principles. The light bulbs just went on all over the room. It turned a room full of skeptics into believers, who then took those lessons back to their own companies. It's the difference between being told something and discovering it for yourself.
Okay, so finally, to make any of this stick, individual actions just aren't enough. The change has to be systemic. We have to redesign the very structures that are keeping these two worlds walled off from each other.
This means we have to change the incentives, right? University deans need to start rewarding professors for actually influencing the real world, not just for publishing in obscure journals nobody reads. It means building real partnerships between academic groups and practitioner groups. And it means pushing the next generation of PhDs to get out there and get some real-world experience.
So, why is all of this so incredibly important? Well, the stakes are actually much, much higher than you might think. This is about closing that painful gap between what we know works and what we actually do every single day at our jobs.
Latham just nails it by borrowing a line from Shakespeare. The fault is not in the stars, but in ourselves. This is a problem we created. Practitioners aren't ignoring research because they're stubborn. A lot of the time, they don't even know it exists because the researchers aren't talking to them.
And here is what happens when real science leaves a vacuum. It gets filled by what Marvin Dunnett, in a brilliant turn of phrase, called fads, fashions, and folderol. You know what this is. It's that endless parade of useless management trends, the buzzword of the week, the consultant selling you the next big thing. This is the nonsense that thrives when real evidence is nowhere to be found.
And that leaves us with one last question. And this one's for you to think about. Look at your own organization. Think about the meetings you attend, the performance reviews you go through, the training programs you're forced to sit in. How many of them are based on solid scientific evidence? And how many might just be the latest folderol, only there because the real answers are locked away, unread in an academic journal?